going on, everybody? Welcome to the Life Jacket Podcast, where we talk about topics, help you get through the ways of life. My name is AJ.
And I'm Bless.
And before we begin into our episode, we always start out with win of the week. So for my win of the week this week, I ran a 5K in DC and I wound up PRing at a time of 24:30. So that was a minute jump from my previous time like 6 months ago. So definitely, hard work pays off and, just staying consistent and working out. So that was a big win for me. How about you?
So my win of the week, I started an LLC, Sherelle Wealth Solutions.
Okay.
So it's pretty vague. It's consulting, e-com, finance, stuff like that. But it's exciting to actually say I have something of mine with my last name. So with that being said, though, let's jump right into our topic. We're talking about when dreams shift, redefining success without feeling like a failure. And so what do you think about that?
I feel as though like when we're growing up, elementary, middle, even high school, like we have a dream about what we want to do, whether that's, being an athlete, being a doctor, being really anything in life that somebody may dream of. And what happens is sometimes, as you go through life, that dream shifts, right? You might want to be a basketball player, but maybe you're 5'7". So those cards, like the cards maybe don't fall in your favor. Like the probability of you becoming like an NBA player, like drastically shifts down. So, you kind of have to shift your dream a little bit to maybe what you want to do. And so I think a lot of times like people have dreams, and although things may come up to prevent you from getting to that dream, there are other things you can dream of and other avenues you can get, to being successful and, living the life that you want to live.
Absolutely. And so like when you do have a dream and you decide to switch it and shift it, that's where, your courage comes into play to realize, hey, this dream might not be exactly what I thought, especially if you're finding out that you're losing the happiness, the drive, and the peace that comes with essentially that dream. And I think that we've all had plenty of dreams before when we were younger. Like you mentioned, me being a basketball player or wanting to be an NBA basketball player and realizing that was not going to happen, just the way life took me. But also at the same time, deciding whether it was evolving, diminishing, or just shifting. And for me, based off of the injuries and stuff like that, it just pretty much diminished. And so I was able to pick up on other things that I found I appreciated more and that I thought can now become dreams, and turning those dreams into reality.
Yeah, and I think for me too, like growing up, I wanted to be a doctor. That was something I really wanted to do until I got to college and I saw all the pre-class you have to take, the bio, the chem, and the physics and organic, and I realized I don't love it that much. Like I don't want to do this. Like I don't want to be in class and lab and studying all the time. And then I realized, to be a doctor, you have to, after undergrad, you have to go to med school, and after med school, you have to go to residency. And sometimes after residency, if you're a specialty, you have to go to more school.
Yeah.
And I just didn't love school enough to want to be a doctor. And so I kind of shifted my dream because my dream was I always wanted to help people.
Yeah.
That was always kind of what I wanted to do. So I shifted from from being a doctor to going into public health. And like public health, I was, I'm able to help a lot of people, with my job now. But then that dream also shift to me, wanting to, be a life coach and starting the podcast and help people in that way. So it's just a matter of just like, just altering a little bit. Like you could still kind of maybe have a dream or wanting to do something, but then, just, having a different avenue going towards it. So for example, like I talked about the basketball player, right? Say you may not become a basketball player, but you may become a basketball coach or a basketball assistant. And you may be, teaching, high schoolers, college, even professional, like how to play the game of basketball. So it's like, you still are in the realm of what you want to do, but it may not be that specific thing that you really want to do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the beauty of it all is that you're giving yourself permission to change and into a different direction. It's not necessarily considered failure, but it's actually considered growth, because it takes way more courage to admit that your dream has evolved, and rather than to stay stuck because you're scared of looking like a quitter. And it gives you opportunity to grow and to be better in something that is actually your true calling. Especially a lot of the times we have these dreams when we don't even know what life is, or we don't know the extremity of how to get to this dream, or do we really love what that dream is? And so as life literally be life in, we get to discover ourselves more, and that makes a shift in the change of what our dream could possibly be.
Yeah, and I think going into that, I think kind of our second part of this is like the guilt, right? And guilt could be, we'll break it down to three phases. There's the guilt of wanting it to do it for other people, guilt of wanting it to do it for yourself, and then the guilt of, oh, if I don't do this, like I won't be successful. What am I going to do next? So I think the
Hmm.
first we'll dive into is like, the guilt of somebody else putting that dream on you. Let's talk about our parents, right? Our parents want us to be a lawyer, a doctor, a dentist, and they kind of like put this dream on us, and it's really their dream. And then when
Yeah.
we don't fulfill their dream, we look like a disappointment. And so there's people nowadays who like are in a career, like they may be like a doctor, or like they're halfway through med school or dental school or law school, and they're like, I don't want to do this. I don't love this stuff. I'm only doing it because I don't want to disappoint my parents.
Yeah.
But that's not good for your own mental health. You're really not in a good space for your mental for somebody else. And so,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to put in the perspective of, am I really living my dream, or am I living somebody else's dream that they kind of put on me because maybe they couldn't do it or they didn't have the opportunity to do it?
Yeah. And just even go even lower, just going to college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least for me and my family, that was always a dream, like to graduate college and then get a master's degree. Oh, you'd be like the first person in the family for a master's or something like that. And like that was even the dream. And then moving on forward from there, it just kind of compounded into, oh, well, you did this, you should do that. You did this and you should do that. And in reality, it really isn't the same times that we're not living in the same times as they were, where it was a matter of go to school, get a good job, retire, and so on and so forth, with essentially the cost of living going up, with opportunity being there without actually having that education. And like I said, as life be life, and you can see that your dreams and the reality of certain circumstances switches because of the environment and the society that we are currently in.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think the second part of that we talked about is the guilt of yourself. You feel like a failure. You feel like, you're not doing what everybody else is doing. You're not happy with yourself. But at the end of the day, we talk about failure all the time. It's just a
Hmm.
part of, living as part of society. A lot of people do fail. A lot of successful millionaires, billionaires have failed
Yeah.
multiple times. So maybe you're failing and maybe a dream that you want to do, but there's also maybe another avenue you may not have thought of that, you're going
Hmm.
to excel and do really good at. Or maybe it may not, your dream may not be specifically in one area, but it may be, like I said, around the ballpark of that area
Yeah.
that you want to do. And so, we're human, right? We have that guilt of, it's embarrassing to fail. You're putting yourself out there, it's not going well, and then you feel like people are like watching you and care about you, but they're really not. Everybody's got
Yeah.
their own lives they're living
Absolutely.
and doing what they got to do. So I think a lot of that guilt comes from not wanting to fail for yourself. However, knowing that it's okay if you don't want to do it anymore. It's okay if
Hmm.
you lost that spark. It's okay even if like you've been grinding really hard for a really long time, that you just need to take a break. Like I remember from my life coaching, I was posting like twice a day for like 5-6 months, and I got burnt out. I was just tired, and I just took a break. Not because
Yeah.
I don't love it anymore, but it's like, let me self-evaluate. Is the content I'm posting, is it drawing attention?
Hmm.
Am I getting views? Am I getting likes? Are people reaching out to me? Um, and then another part is like, I'm just tired because like it takes a lot to post. People don't realize that. Like
Oh
just
yeah.
making content, putting yourself out there takes a lot of time. So I even took a break. I was like, I'm just gonna take a break. So even if you're somebody who's, in that space, maybe you're maybe you're just tired of the dream, and maybe you're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe it's like you're just burnt out. Take a little
Yeah.
bit of a break, take some time away. Rome wasn't built overnight. Sometimes it does take time. So I definitely understand you're someone out there who is, you feel guilty about failing. It's okay that if you do fail, like it's okay. Like maybe this didn't work out for you, but there's something else better for you, on the
Yeah.
other side that you'll be successful at.
And it's good that you realize that once you fail at your dreams, but then decide to evolve and switch, you're actually not failing at the self-love and the self-care for yourself. And at the end of the day, that is more important than trying to accomplish a dream or trying to accomplish someone else's dream. And being able to dive deep in yourself and understand what limits you're able to push yourself, and you're, like you said, anxiety, depression, mental illness, all that stuff is the negative effects, but the positive effects of having peace is something that's very underrated. um as well as happiness. And so when you're moving towards those dreams and you decide to switch and not necessarily give up on yourself, but just maybe give up on that dream, look at it as a positive of you're learning and you're going into that new dream with experience and rather than as a failure.
Exactly. So I have a friend of mine who he was taking the bar and he just kept failing the bar exam. It's a really, really hard exam. He says, you know what? I'm just going to take 2 years off. I'm going to come back to this dream and finish it. Like I'm gonna still stand on it, but I'm just going to take a mental break and give myself some grace because a lot of times we look at what other people are doing and like some people pass the bar the first time and, you know, you feel like you're behind or they're way far ahead, but everybody's journey just looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
And so there's also, like I was talking about earlier, you can pause that dream in the moment. Life comes up, things happen. Maybe you're not able to put your full into it at the moment because you're focused on, you know, say you have 2 jobs, but your side job is kind of like what you want to do. You can maybe focus it towards that and just come back to it. Like, okay, let me take 5-6 months off and then come back to this and I'll be rejuvenated, re-energized, and I could put more time into that, which kind of leads into our third segment, like kind of redefining success.
Yeah.
Kind of redefine like what your success looks like and what you may be doing career wise, health wise, you know, take a step back and be like, I thought success made have looked like this, but now it kind of looks like this.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for your own self, take that step back, analyze and be like, you know what, I still want to chase this dream of doing this. However, I need to kind of reassess and like how I'm moving.
And success is it's not just checking off the box of, oh, I accomplished that dream. I think the simple way of defining success is that you're living a life that is true to who you are and understanding once again your likes, your dislikes, how far you're going to push yourself. And not to say that just because you're not pushing yourself super hard, it's lazy, because then it's a misconception of what is lazy and what is correct. Like you said, in regards to your life coaching and you're posting multiple times a day, but it's like, were those posts valuable? And rather than posting maybe one post every 5 days and getting a more reach. So it's like more so that quality over quantity type of thing. And so that is where success plays a big part into understanding what it actually is.
Yeah, no, I agree. I said multiple times, like I've had to kind of redefine what success looked like in my life from when I was in college to, you know, in high school, you know, success was just a dream of mine was, you know, I want to graduate college. Then it was like, okay, I want to graduate grad school. And it was like, you know, I want to work at a specific hospital. I did that. Now some of my dreams, like, you know, I want to run I want to run a half marathon. I want to run a full marathon. I want to lift X amount of weight. I want to travel to these countries. So I think your dreams of what you want to do kind of change over time. And it's just a matter of, you know, putting a plan and making it happen.
Yeah, because you stay true to who you are, it should change as we are a creature of growth and, you know, adapting to our environment, adapting to the person who you are in the situations. And then just to go into like an example of somebody that a lot of us probably know in regards to their dreams switching for actually, it seems like to be the better. One of my guys that I really enjoy is The Rock. If you look at him, knowing about his story, you know, he wanted to be a professional football player. And I believe he played college. I think he played a little bit professional, but it didn't work out based off of injuries. And then, as we know, he went into wrestling and then acting. And now he's doing so much more, making so much more money. But also from what we see, he's being true to who he is. And his goal and dream, it's switched for the better. Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters. That's what success is. And so for you listeners, your dreams might not be coming into fruition currently right now, but also you want to take that step back and realize the person you are, success might look different than what your current dream is. And so it's very important to knowing who you are. And back in probably like the first episode that we talked about, that will allow you to evolve and to be able to switch.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. So, I mean, I think, you know, to just close out the episode, always tell people, you know, don't ever give up on your dream too. I know that's really cliche, but, you know, your dream you may have at 20, you may not get until you're 45. But it's a matter of like, how much do you really believe in that dream, and you know, how much are you willing to wait? Are you really to continue to put the work in? It'll come at the right time if you stay consistent and you keep working at it. Don't get too caught up in, society when everybody else is doing and seeing everybody maybe complete their dreams and their goals at a certain age. Your time's coming. So just, remember to stay in your own lane and, continue to stay focused and work on that dream.
Absolutely. And you do not owe the world the same dream forever.
Mm-hmm.
You owe yourself to follow your heart to where you're supposed to be.
Yep. So I think that's it for this episode. Continue to support us, like, subscribe, comment, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Really means a lot. We all really appreciate it. So for me and Bless, until next time.
See ya.
Peace.